Lots of fun stuff to talk about. Some philosophy, some observations, visiting other gear items along the way. TMP officially year 12 by channel creation date. Holy cow, that's a long time. Knife show still in operation. So is TMP Patreon for now. If you want to join, join. If you don't, that's totally cool as well. But this is how it's working right now. All subject to change. If I'm caught up, I have about 5 to 6 videos loaded up already. Not released publicly. They are released to TMP Patreon early. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Everything is in flux. I just keep cranking out the vids while I can. That's where I'm at, dude. So thanks to TMP Patreon, guys. Love you guys. Mean it. Awesome. And it's also a smaller audience, so I'm able to interact more with those guys on the comments in Patreon. So it's kind of like YouTube. The video posts, and then they'll have their own comment section, and I talk to those guys there. Check this out. I found this piece of wood in a field, and I was like, man, that would be perfect for tabletop reviews. I can use it for all kinds of things. Totally. For instance, I could probably stab a knife in that. Let's try it. CRKT shenanigan. Yeah, that worked pretty good. Oh, dude, it broke. That's sad. First use on camera. Freaking busted. I'll just glue it. It's really not for stabbing, in case you're wondering that. I was just doing that to goof around. It's for display. It's kind of a display piece. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about right now. We're going to be reviewing a very large survival knife, and the theme will be firepower. So the ability to get a lot of work done with the least amount of energy expended. That's how I define firepower in a wilderness experience. It's always been that way here in TMP. I use an acronym. I came up with it about 10 years ago here. It's called TCE. Time, calories, and energy, all of which are always in short supply when I'm in the mountains because I am living out of a man-portable system, usually backpacking. I'm going to bounce back to that here in a second. But the theme is firepower. I have a nice piece of wood on the table. Let's use it for display purposes. This is the actual model tank that I used in the philosophy discussion of firepower versus mobility in 2009. Say hey again to the awesome Corgi 150th scale Tiger 1 tank in snow camo. Super excellent display piece and a great touchstone for the concept of firepower. Let's put it on the wood here, see how it looks. Awesome! That looks great. Love how that looks. Just driving up a plank there. I think I'll play here for a second. My friend and I, Ray Torona, we talk about tanks via text all the time. I'm a treadhead as well. We had a discussion the other day. I asked him, I was like, what tank do you think the Germans should have concentrated on to at least extend, perhaps even win the European War? I mean, there's a lot of factors. His answer was the Tiger 1. And I thought it was a pretty good answer. I was thinking either the Panther tank, Tiger 1. The King Tiger took a lot more resources to build. They could have just focused on the Tiger 1. I don't think they would have won the war, but it sure would have protracted things. If the Germans had a bunch of these tanks during World War II, especially from time frame 1943 to 1945, if they would have had like thousands of Tiger 1s against our Shermans, it would have been bad. Bad. I mean, it took, what, like, Ray, 5 Shermans to take out one of these tanks. Their 75mm guns couldn't do anything to it. The Tiger 1 could take them out at like 1,000 meters. There it is again, firepower with its 88mm main gun. Now, when they upgraded to a 76mm like the Sherman Firefly, it was more capable, but still the Tiger 1 outmatched it. The King Tiger was even cooler, but like I said, that was a much more expensive tank. They had turret problems on that. They had, I think, transmission problems. It wasn't as reliable. If they would have just focused and perfected the Tiger 1 and said, you know what, this is a tank we're producing from like 1941 on, oh, it would have been bad for the Allies. Very, very bad. That, and they spread themselves too thin with all their tank designs. I'm talking the Germans, and also on the Eastern Front. It was ridiculous. But this represents firepower well, and so it deserves to be on the table right now. On the plank of wood. Fun review, dudes. It's going to be fun. I told you we're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. But we'll get to the knife, trust me. If you hate tanks, you hate, history of armored warfare, hang in there. We'll start talking blade. And then I need a gun. Yep, a gun to represent firepower. What are we going to use? Oh, how about the Smith & Wesson Model 329 Scandium Frame 44 Magnum. Something wicked this way comes. Watch my review on this gun. If I think about it and it's out, I'll put a card right there on the screen. Ooh, I love this gun. I love shooting it. I like how it makes me feel, and I like the power of a 44 Magnum. I think I'm going to name that video When 10mm Ain't Enough. Go with a 44 Magnum. Not in terms of rounds fired. I mean, it's only a 6-shot, but for each round, yeah, firepower, it qualifies. This is basically a guide gun, especially fishermen. Trout fishing where there are a lot of brown bear, Kodiaks, this would be a good sidearm to have. Last ditch sidearm. Model 329 or the 29 also reviewed in that video. And this is a gun that makes shooters bleed. No, I'm not getting hit with it. I'm talking shooting with it. Jardine's hand was bleeding shooting this gun. And I laugh because to me the concept is so ridiculous that it recoils so sharply. Even with proper grip. I mean, he and I spent a lot of time with his grip. He was still bleeding. And that's so ridiculous that it recoils so hard. I didn't have a problem with it. I like shooting it. It would batter my middle knuckle right here, because just right behind the trigger guard. I talk about that in review. Sorry for the length of what we're talking about. But it's, again, we're setting the table for firepower. So there's firepower in the tank world, firepower in the handgun world. You had a firepower in the watch world, PRG 600 Casio. It is a touchstone watch for me. One of my all-time favorite Casios, linked below. I love the PRG 600. It comes in several colorations. This is a Japanese-only marketed watch. It's really not meant for the United States market, but you can get it. On to the knife. Here we go. It's the OKC Bushcraft Woodsman Firepower. I still love large survival knives, dudes. I don't think that will ever change. And I don't care what's on Discovery Channel in terms of so-called wilderness or survival shows. Now, I say that because those shows, I feel, are very influential for people. So if they tune in, he's not on now, but if they see Bear Grylls, I know he's a controversial figure. I never looked at him as a survival expert, although he's good in the woods. I have no doubt about that. But you guys know the story about all that transpired with his show. And I see him using like a 4-inch survival blade. I don't go out and go, oh, that's what I'm going to use. No, I got my own data. I know what works for me out in the woods. And I know that I want to minimize time, calories, and energy. TCE. Acronym again that I came up with a long time ago. I don't want to be messing around building a fire for 2 hours. If I'm in a wet environment, when it's snowy, raining, all my fuel is soaked, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to process wood. I've said that and demonstrated it in the Nut and Fancy project forever, but that's in my field of operation, which is generally the Rocky Mountains, the Wasatch Mountains. Snowy, cold, wet, frequently. Not in a desert. I'm not in the southeast. I'm out in the mountains of Utah or Wyoming usually. So a big blade to me is about minimizing work. It's about firepower. Is it heavier to carry? Sure. I have and I'm probably echoing some of my sentiments I had or expressed in big survival knife philosophy video. I think I called it like Big Survival Knives Don't Suck After All or something like that. I'll put a card to that as well. Same thing. But I don't think I'll ever change. I don't care what's on TV. Dual Survival's the same way. That's a show they wanted me to be in. I said thanks, but no thanks. I'm glad I said no. But like they show tiny. Usually, I don't watch it very often, but the episodes I've seen, they're usually rocking something small. Kind of like a Mora. This is a Mora Bushcraft. Scandi ground. Super awesome knife, by the way. I love it. There's a UPC code on it. But just to represent what they're using. But I mean, for me, these two knives, for the amount of work, for what I'm doing, they have two different capabilities. To me, this is a great camp knife, but it's not my only blade. So what I do is I'll carry this. This is only like 4 ounces. This will come along, or a knife like it. So will this, and so will a wilderness saw. There you go. Now that's a system. That's a system I can build shelters with if I had to. I can get in the middle of those logs to get the dry wood if I have to. I don't do it just for fun, only if I have to. And I can do all kinds of fun stuff. I can actually dig with this knife if I had to. Chop for sure. Strip limbs off. Totally. We're kind of talking about philosophy of use for the Bushcraft Woodsman. OKC, if you don't know, you probably should, is Ontario Knife Company. They started using the OKC moniker, I guess, a while back. I think it's cool. The Bushcraft series actually has several knives in the series. This is the one I gravitated towards because I like big knives. I do. But this is, by the way, SKU number 6526, 9.5 inch blade, around $100, subject to change. I'll put a link to Blade HQ there. They're awesome. And also Amazon, if they sell out. Sometimes for my reviews, Blade HQ, the stock goes bye-bye. And they may or may not be very deep with this particular model. So if you go there and they're sold out, just go to Amazon. And yes, I do recommend a purchase on this knife if you need a knife of this type, or if it just makes you happy for collecting. Another philosophy of use, by the way. Valid philosophy of use. In the Bushcraft lineup also is a knife called the Field Knife, SKU number 6526, about 85 bucks. A smaller one, SKU number 6527, 4-inch blade, about $65. All of them feature 5160 spring steel, specifically Dan Maragni spring steel, which I have raved about years ago and I absolutely love. It is a great steel that OKC uses. The 5160 is right up there with 1095, some of my all-time favorite wilderness steels. Both of them are like neck and neck. I might have a slight preference these days for 5160 for more resilience when I go through a log and hit some rocks or something. Depending on the steel, I think the Maragni steel does pretty good. It doesn't chip out as much. Both of them are carbon steels and both will rust like crazy if you don't take care of them. They also have a Bushcraft machete in the lineup, 95 bucks. I don't think I'll review that, but kind of cool. It does have the name Bushcraft, the whole line that OKC's doing, but incidentally, it's a flat ground. So that's interesting to me, and I love flat ground blades still. Sometimes convex ground, but I find them, for me and my lack of skill, hard to sharpen for sure. But I think most people, when they think of a bushcrafter style of blade, they're thinking of this style of grind. This portion right here, the Scandi grind. So this is a little bit different on this Mora Bushcrafter. I have another one. This is a Mora Top Q. I don't know if they're still making this one. 4.2 ounces, stainless steel, about $23. This is a very conventional Scandi ground blade. This is what I'm talking about. So when people talk bushcraft, this is what they're thinking. And the idea behind it is it's easier for them to sharpen in field. So they don't want a full flat ground. They want a steeper grind. And there's a lot of other reasons they like it too, for like making bowls and doing carving and whittling. A lot of guys will like the flat grind. That's not me though, and so I don't do that. And so flat grinding for me is totally awesome. I love it. Incidentally, I still love these Moras. They're so awesome for the money. You can get any flavor you want. And like I said, they would pair. So a knife like this would come along. This would be like my primary field knife. And if it's not that, maybe it's a cold steel roach belly. Whoa! Still here. Kind of a hollow Scandi grind on that, and that's like 4116 Krupp, and that's just a pressed blade. They didn't grind this one. That's why it's so affordable. Fun review. When I look at this knife, the OKC Bushcraft Woodsman, big 9.5 inch blade, it reminds me of two blades in particular, and I don't know if they come to your mind. I have reviewed them before, and they are Hall of Famers here in the large survival knife category. One is, and I still have it, but I couldn't find it. It is the Crowell Barker Chopper. and it's a competition chopper, and man, is it a good looking blade. It's a capable woods crafting blade, but it really wasn't designed for that. The Crowell Barker, I think it was marketed by Browning. I'll put a link below if I find it. Great knife. About the same price. It's also uncoated steel. I'm forgetting which steel they use in that one, and I think it was flat ground on that. It may have been convex grind on the Crowell Barker, because that's a competition knife. They are basically going through 2x4s and logs as fast as they can. And go watch that review. I'll try to remember to put a card here. Great blade though. Good looking blade. The differences between this knife and the Crowell Barker are the angles. So this is basically a straight angle on the Bushcraft Woodsman. The Crowell Barker actually had kind of an angle that angled down for more acceleration in the chop. I think the maker of that knife talked to me via message through YouTube years ago when I came out in the video, and he was super cool. I forget which one it was, maybe Crowell Barker, and he's like, hey, thanks for review, you know, I appreciate it. And we just had a little discussion back and forth, so I thought that was nice. That was cool, and I love that knife. I don't think I'll ever sell that Crowell Barker. It's just a really cool blade. It's a cool collectible blade, but if you really want to put it in hard use, you could. This knife's the same way, and I think between the two for chopping, log splitting, which I believe any large survival knife should be able to withstand. I've always said that. I'll never change. You probably wouldn't see a big difference between the two. The other knife it reminds me of, I mean really reminds me of, is also in the Ontario line. And by the way, Ontario does such an awesome job of still making these large survival knives at prices almost anyone can afford. But you're not really sacrificing anything for performance. They're all excellent knives. And this is the Dan Mahogany steel. That is a 5160 Dan Mahogany. Ontario Spec Plus 2, I think, is a series SP50. This one has been Duracoated in kind of a tiger stripe camo pattern because I had peeled off the paint off of it using it. Awesome blade. But look, isn't that a similar blade? Oh, dude, it's like almost identical. Now, if you say, hey, dude, which one would you like in the woods versus, you know, the Bushcraft Woodsman or this one? My answer to you is, am I really seriously in the woods and I'm doing a lot of work? Yes, you are, Nut Fancy. Well, I'll take an SP50, thank you. The Craton handle is superior to this one. It blows it away. It absorbs shock, doesn't absorb any water, it's comfortable, it's durable. Is it second cool? No. It's a user handle on the SP50, but man, do I love it. And it's long enough for me. It doesn't have any hot spots. It's really cool. The blades themselves, dude, they're like identical. You know, they're tapered. They're about 1/4 inch thick each one. SP50 on the bottom, Woodsman on the top. You know, it's like the same blade, really. It really is. I mean, this is, you have more, obviously a full tang knife in both versions. So you have more tang shown right here coming out the handle. But dude, it's like the same blade, which is a good thing. This is also a flat ground blade, SP50. The sheath, weak on this one. It's bad. But I mean, I don't know if they've improved it, OKC, or not. But I talked about the plastic insert on this sheath on the SP50, and it was like, yeah, real loose. And I don't know if I've ever tightened this one up. It's functional. I mean, the sheath is lightweight and functional on the SP50. And because I'm trying to watch every ounce, and actually, you know, money's money, I didn't really want to go out and spend money on building a Kydex for this one. So it works. When you see the sheath to this one, though, it may sway you to buy that one. Because the sheath on the upgraded version of the OKC Bushcraft Woodsman is really, really excellent. It's a United States produced sheath. We're going to look at it here in a second. But the blade is the star of this knife. A lot of reach and a lot of span for splitting logs. A lot of span. And that, again, is my philosophy of use. That's what I would primarily use it for. Maybe chopping some saplings. I hate to dig with my blades. It's a great way to ruin an edge, but you could if you had to. And then I guess we should say a philosophy of use. Defensive tool in the woods. I mean, if this fails, your 44 Magnum, this might be a second weapon for you. Bear attacks are so rare. I'm insert discussion where I love bear and I never want to have to shoot them. I always say that and I always mean it. But this is a wicked knife. A fighting knife, I don't know. It's really hard to say. There's so many different schools of thought what comprises a good fighting knife. I generally think a big, large knife like this is not thought of in today's manner of thinking as a fighting knife because it's too slow into action. You cannot make fast enough transitions with a blade this big. Now, I said in today's way of thinking, but if you go back to the 1800s, John Bowie, in the days of Bowie, you know, a big knife. And I'm going to show you a really cool competitive option. A large blade was the go-to fighting blade. Interesting. Is. So that's interesting to me. Fighting knife, maybe. I'm always a fan of reach and keeping the bear further away from me or bad guy further away from me. So yeah, it could be used for that. Weight is substantial. 23.5 ounces with the sheath for the Bushcraft Woodsman. That's going to be about the same as other competitive options that I throw on the table. Some are actually going to be more than that, substantially more now that I think about it. But firepower, that's a theme, right? Theme, 88 millimeter gun, 44 Magnum. Awesome watch, does everything. Firepower. Knife that can minimize your work, TCE out there in the wilderness. Cool. I wish I had the smaller versions on the table. I'd show you those. What I'll probably do is go to their website and just kind of scroll them across. I probably already did that as I discussed them. Now let's get to the handle of the Bushcraft Woodsman. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't like it. Yeah, showstopper. Is it a real showstopper, nothing fancy, or is it just a mild dislike? It reminds me of the Ranger RD9, which I reviewed, and I hated that handle. And I gave that pretty much a negative review for it. The good news to this is that they do use wood, and I could probably fix this handle. But as it stands, I don't like it. And I'm really surprised that this came out with this handle. It kind of reminds me of someone who hasn't used a knife like this out in the woods. Here's what I don't like about it. It's squared off and has sharp transitions first and foremost. So see this? That's a sharp transition. Even with gloves, I don't like that. It's not comfortable in hand. The second thing I don't like is I think it should be longer. Now, it's not RD9 short, Ranger short, but it still should have a half inch more. There's really no reason why you wouldn't give it a longer handle. It seems a little bit short. And then this is what I really hate. It has this extended flare tang in the back. Now, I'm not going to show you cutting footage specifically for this knife because it's a loaner and I don't have permission to go out and thrash on it. I don't. So it is what it is, and that wouldn't be fair. But I can tell you from having used knives like this for 10 years that this is going to batter your pinky. So as you come here and you do a chop, I'm going to get smacked right here. Just like when I'm shooting a 329, as this recoils and hits my knuckle of my right hand, I'm going to get my pinky battered right here. Now, I could mitigate that by coming back, getting more length, and maybe putting that between my ring finger and my pinky like that. And I have done that, but now I have a traction problem. So I don't have any jimping, no traction material up here as of yet. I might experiment with skateboard tape. What I find for that in survival knives, especially in rain and snow, is it won't stick on. It's going to stay for a while, but it's going to get sawdust in it, and it'll eventually start peeling up. So on top side of the Woodsman, I really wish they had a traction plan up here. In a perfect world, it would have been nice. Jimping right here, yeah, I would use it. Now, what I would do with this knife, if it were mine, is I would take a Dremel sanding drum, so a Dremel tool with a sanding drum, and I would radius this right here. I would just very carefully round these sharp corners, I should say, they're not edges, right around here. And that might be enough. You would still have this, so the flared out tang. But if your hands are small enough, mine are large though. If your hands are small enough, you may not have that problem. But for me, I always batter. Anytime and I've said this in so many large survival knife reviews, anytime I've seen this, I'm out in the woods, I'm like, damn, here we go again. I come away and go, yeah, that sucks. Would you grind that down, nothing fancy? Well, this is hardened steel, so that is going to be a process. 1/4 inch Dan Maragni 5160 spring steel, good luck. What you could do is maybe use a Dremel and cut it. So you could profile. I think that would be doable, and then spend some time sanding it, reprofile your wood panels here, and it's just going to be a job. And to do it right and to make it look good, it's going to be some work. It'd probably take me, I don't know, 4 hours to do this job. Luckily, you can take the wood scales off. They're just Allen heads on there, I believe, which is appropriate for survival knife. But yeah, I don't like it. I still love the knife. For the money, it would be a fun project to do. So I think what a lot of guys will do is get the Bushcraft Woodsman, take the wood scales off, and make their own. While they're at it, will they get rid of that? I don't know. I would. I'm just telling you, from the other knives I want to show you, I don't have that problem. But will other guys? Who knows? Who knows? So scales are a miss, big time. I don't mind the looks. I think they're calling them walnut. This actually looks like a laminated wood to me. It's not like solid walnut. It's just a laminated, brown laminated wood is what it is. The blade is uncoated, by the way, which can be a problem. I mean, in the snow and rain, you may get to a point where you cannot keep up on the rust. The blade can rust. It's still functional. We all know that. I've shown a lot of blades on the table that have that. Haven't been used in TMP. But I prefer not to have it, and that's why you saw me having coated the SP50 as an experiment. And it works. And this will even wear off. I mean, any hard-use survival knife that's used a lot, you're just going to have a lot of wear and tear on it. It's a woods tool. It's designed to be used that way. The balance, handle notwithstanding, is actually good, about the same as SP50. Imagine that. Basically the same blade. Nice tip, taper down. Same, flat ground again. And I told you and raved about the steel already. 5160 is awesome. That's a steel you can actually pry with, leverage it, especially in this 3/4 inch thickness. It's actually 6 millimeter thick right here, then it tapers down. You could actually use this as a pry bar. Totally. Let's look at the sheath and the box. And this is the upgraded version of the Bushcraft Woodsman. There's a basic version that just comes with a black sheath. I don't know if it's just like the one I showed you with the SP50 or not. It probably is. But this sheath right here, dudes, is awesome. Totally awesome. There's the box. Made by DeSantis. Now the color's cool. I like the tan. I'm not really sure why they used red stitching on it. Whatever, it's not a showstopper, but this is a good sheath. It's like that SP50 sheath and also the other ones in the Spec Plus lineup done right. The first thing I love about the sheath is that it has really good nylon to it, so there's no Velcro here as far as retaining the knife. I mean, you can adjust. This is for handle adjustment here. So your retention loop can be adjusted. That's not what it's for. It's snap, a blackened brass snap. Awesome! Way it should be done. And then the plastic liner. Imagine this is actually tensioned to retain the blade for safety. So you're not going to walk around with it unsnapped. But I mean, if you're busy or if it tilts, it's sitting on a log and it comes upside down, you're not going to have to worry about it sliding out. You don't have to pop the liner out and do a thermo run on it. Meaning that I take my heat gun out, then I got to epoxy it back in. Again, more work. It's nonsense doing that. I hate doing that. I think everything should be awesome out of box, if at all possible. Then we've got a sharpening stone pocket here to be used for other things, which I'll show you here in a second. No drainage hole that I can see, but it'd be easy just melting one through with a hot nail. Not MOLLE compatible. But you know what? That's probably good, because I don't think most guys are going to ever run this on a MOLLE sheath. It's a large survival blade. It's not a great soldier knife. It's a woods blade, and I think most guys just carry it on their belt, or more likely, like I do, just carry it in the pocket of their backpack. So great sheath. Overall, I really like the sheath. And I said this isn't just for a sharpening stone. It could also be used for the included fire steel plus striker, which comes with this version of the Woodsman. Kind of some added value. Do I absolutely need it? Not really. That's cool though. And then the spine of the Woodsman, and I think the other Bushcraft knives, really sharp, so you can use it for striking the flint if you want. And then you get a, I don't know, paracord bracelet with it if you want. So that all comes in the box with this particular version, along with some card that says something of how smart you were for buying their product. Overall, it's a great value for the price you'd pay for this version. Even if you get the one with the black handle, it's still awesome. That. cool. How far along are we? Oh, as predicted, feature length for a knife review, 31 minutes. Now let's talk about competitive options. This will be super fun. I showed you the SP50 already.
I don't see any.
It would be my preferred choice for serious woods use, albeit it does have a very cheesy, in this version, Velcro closure on the sheath. But yeah, handle, better, and it comes coated. I don't know if I said that, so it's not an uncoated blade like this one is. SP50. Some other ones in that lineup too, I may or may not mention. How about this one? Swamp Rat in a Red Hill Kydex sheath I had made for it. I think this is a .080 thickness Kydex in a very cool camouflage pattern. I have the belt clip taken off of it because it was being carried in a backpack pocket, just like I said. I honestly forget which version this is, but man, is this a great blade. Oh, dude. So let's compare the handle and see what we're talking about. So you can see it is longer. This Swamp Rat knife, a little bit longer. And look at how rounded it is. Now this is a comfortable handle, and you have protection with a forward finger choil. You have 3 ways of attaching a lanyard. I went with the mid position. Here you only have the aft position. This has a very tough crinkle paint finish, which is designed to wear off over time, as you can see. Go watch my review on this. I'll annotate which version this is. It came without a sheath though, and I thought it was kind of pricey for what it was. Swamp Rat. So that's a subsidiary of BC Knives, I believe. That's a great competitive option. This is actually heavier than that, I believe, especially with the Kydex. Kydex will almost always add weight. And then how about the Cold Steel Trailmaster? This is a great knife. I will tell you this though, dudes. This freaking Woodsman, this one would outchop this one all day long. It's not even close. This is more of a, it's a thick knife, but it doesn't have that forward mass. It's flat ground. I think this particular version is an SK5 carbon steel. I have sharpened it. You can see it's wearing my edge on it. I have busted cold steel knives. It was a Recon, I think, that I snapped in half one year. Happens. This is a great knife though, but it's lighter than this, and it basically performs the same function. And I've split a ton of logs with this exact knife, and it will totally work. Sheltercraft, Firecraft, all that's great. I'll put a link below for the Trailmaster too. Still an all-time favorite. And this sheath I got for it, I hope I remember right. I think this is also a Red Hill Kydex, and I haven't checked in with Red Hill. I hope they're still around. I know his son took over his operation, and man, do they make great sheaths. This is also in .080 FDE Kydex, and now you can see my attachment method on this one. This one is MOLLE capable, but it can also run on a belt too. Oopsie. But this one doesn't add a lot of weight. That's why I go with a thinner Kydex. I don't need a super thick Kydex. Look at the retention on this sucker. Oh, that is awesome. Cold Steel Trailmaster. Excellent. Speaking of something wicked, how about the Cold Steel Kukri? This one is, I'm trying to remember if it's Cerakote or Duracoat. I think I Duracoated this one because it also was an exposed, in bright blade, and I did it for rust resistance. Go watch my review on this. Oh, that's a great blade. Different philosophy though of how the blades are used. I mean, this is a great chopper. Forward weight for sure. All that's awesome. And in some ways I like a straight blade for its functionality and its clean cuts, because splitting with this one is a little bit more difficult. I talked about that in the review. Great handle, and look at the length. This is what I'm talking about. Flared out. This is different than that. So you may go, well, that's flared out, that'd batter. No, not at all, because this is kind of just a bell portion. So it won't batter, one, because the handle's longer too. Let's compare.
Yeah, let's try it.
The grasping area right here. A little bit longer. Surprisingly, I would think it'd be more.
I'm going to do a little martial arts.
Great handle. I love Kraton handles. And then the Securex sheath on the Gurkha Kukri cold steel version. I reviewed the Nepalese one too. You can look that video up. And then we have the very much beloved, a lot of team peers bought this knife. This is kind of a large knife show. RTAC 2, bro. Speaking of Ontario. Now this also has a flared out portion here, but it's a huge handle. I mean, so I'm not like resting my pinky up here. I'm up here. I'm choked up on this. Sometimes I've cut like that on the RTAC 2. This is such a great knife. 1095 steel, if I remember. Same style of blade. So here we see the same style of blade. Let's compare these two. So RTAC 2 underneath and the Woodsman on top. So that's an even bigger knife, the RTAC 2, dudes. Oh, that's excellent. That's a sick blade. I've talked to so many TMPers that bought these and have used them and loved them. It's kind of a all go-to user knife. And this actually is a Chestnut Ridge Kydex sheath. So they pre-make these. It's relatively affordable and it's sized specifically for the RTAC 2. And go to Chestnut Ridge, tell them that Fancy sent you. No, I get no kickbacks whatsoever from them. Just want you to have some good products. They make Kydex sheaths for a whole bunch of different knife makers. Like they have some Ranger ones, last time I checked. Also several Ontario knives, like this one, have ready-made sheaths for it. So that's a much more cost-effective way for you to get into a really good sheath for your RTAC 2. I have reviewed these and talked about them probably 7 years ago. And then I just reviewed it last summer. It is still totally awesome. The Woodsman Pal. Oh man, do I love this knife too. What's the weight on this? I wrote it down. 18 ounces? Dude, I thought it'd be heavier than that. This is model 481. It's the Woodsman Pal Pro Tool, and Sean, the TMPer, and myself went up and thumped on a Woodsman Pal. There were two of them. I don't know if this is the one we used, but this can dig, it can sickle cut, it can clear brush. Kind of a different type of knife, but it's kind of fun throwing this on here. Woodsman Pal. Love it. And then last but not least, remember I was talking about knife fighting and how in the 1800s they used to consider a big blade a fighting knife? This is a great representation of it. And it is a Bark River knife and tool, 8.5 inch Bowie knife and natural curly maple. Oh, dude. 2009 production. It is our own knife. It's highly collectible. I bet you the price on this has doubled. If I sold this, it'd probably go for around $500. Be my guess. Look at how beautiful that knife is, dudes. Shut up. This is an A2 steel. Speaking of a convex grind, this is it right here. Beautiful classic Bowie knife. I did a review on these Bark River Bowies. Man, they're just beautiful. Let you enjoy that for a second. Brass guard. Beautiful long coffin shaped handle. Look at the length on this. Look how much real estate you have on that. Beautiful blade. Now we're talking about, I guess, a fighting knife. So these are really two different creatures right here. Even though generally they're the same size, this one is meant for speed and transitions. It's just super fast. This is a survival knife. It's not meant for that. It's heavy, it's thicker, it's not as fast. It's meant to chop and minimize work, have firepower. This has firepower, but in terms of defensive use. But it's fun to put it on the table and once again remind us of how awesome these Bowie knives were that Bark River put together. I haven't checked in with them for a long time. I don't know if they're still making them. If they are, I bet you they are going for new, be my guess, $350. That I got this for, what, $290? That's a steal. Especially for the kind of workmanship that's in this knife and the collectability. This is a second cool knife for me. Just love it. Gotta wrap it up, dudes. Fun video, firepower, talking about the OKC Bushcraft Woodsman, dudes. It is highly recommended, actually, despite the handle. Because I think, like I said, I could fix the handle. The blade is a total win. Again, it's basically the same as the SP50 and some other offerings. And there's some others that I did not throw on the table that are still highly recommended, like the Marine Raider, also by Ontario Knife Company. Really cool blade. Wow, that looks cool right there. Look at that. Freaking Woodsman with an SP50. If you didn't watch the SP50 review, you need to go watch that. That's one of my touchstone large survival knives, especially for the money. Coated. This is uncoated. Better handle. This has kind of a better looking handle, and maybe it kind of goes in line with a bushcraft motif, where a lot of the bushcrafters like natural materials. They really don't cotton too well to a synthetic handle. They don't like that. And honestly, a lot of them don't cotton to any coatings on their blades. They want it to be in raw steel. They'll deal with it, and if it gets discolored and a little bit rusted, it's just a badge of honor for how many times they've used it in the woods. Done with the review. Nothing fancy. See ya.